Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Instagram. I'm just setting up my live for YouTube. How is everyone going? Let's make sure that I have the right. There we go. How are we all going? I'm going to be speaking about. Okay, I need to mute myself on here. I'm going to be speaking about the energetics of money, which I'm really, really excited about. This is inspired by all of my client conversations I've been having over the past couple of weeks, plus my brand new 4 week live group coaching container, Match for Money. So, Match for Money is a group container. If you are someone, you make money, you have money, but you find that every time you spend money, you're feeling a little bit of a lack. Every time that you look at your bank account, even though there's money in there, you get a bit of anxiety and you worry, like, where am I going to get more? Every time you tap your card for like lunch, every time you tap your card, hello, YouTube. Uh, every time you tap your card for lunch or a coffee, you feel like, okay, where am I going to get more money from? Where am I actually going to receive more abundance? And so you find it really, really hard for yourself to raise your vibration when it comes to money and know that it's always coming. And that's exactly what we work on inside of Match for Money, which I'm super excited. You can enroll now. Everyone here on YouTube, it is in the show notes below. Everyone on my Instagram, you can go link and buy, you can send me a message. But today, I'm going to be speaking a little bit, just do a bit of a riff. And any questions, wherever you're coming from, wherever you're watching, I am going to just kind of, yeah, any questions wherever you're watching. I'm just reading some of the comments here and I'm just going to rip. So, one thing that I brought to the attention of my clients yesterday, my mastermind clients, so they kind of get like a sneak preview of what Match for Money is like. By the way, Match for Money, one of the questions I got yesterday, yes, you get video trainings, but you also get live support. So one group call a week, there's 4 weeks. It's a Q&A vibe. You can ask me any questions you have when it comes to energetics of money, the practical of abundance. So something that I told my clients yesterday and I shared with them is you have to remember that everything that is reflected in your pardon me, in your reality, and if we're speaking specifically when it comes to money and abundance, everything that you're experiencing and that's getting mirrored back to you right in this moment is all a reflection of exactly how you are perceiving life and how you are perceiving something as good or bad. Now, just quick little mini lesson. Remember, we are governed by the universal law of polarities. So there is always going to be good, there is always going to be bad. There is nothing that is better, there is nothing that is worse. They just is. It depends on your perception. Now, linking this back to abundance, linking this back to money. And when I speak about abundance and money in this live, I'm going to be using them kind of like the same interchangeably. But when we look at that, if we are perceiving that money is bad, or we are perceiving that it's really hard to get money, or every time we spend money, I'm going to lose money, then that is quite literally the lens that gets reflected out into your 3D physical reality. And that's what you are going to experience. So, what are the stories? The first thing that I want you to start to look at and want you to start to understand now, what are the stories? What are the narratives that you are telling yourself every single day when it comes to money, when it comes to abundance? What are the actual stories when you tap your card, when you pay for lunch, when a bill comes out at like direct debits out of your account, when a friend says, do you want to go for a quick little getaway trip this weekend? What are your immediate narratives and stories when it comes to abundance, when it comes to money? And we will be like working specifically on subconscious reprogramming when it comes to these sorts inside of Match for Money. But what I will tell you now, it is up to you to number one, and this is exactly what I tell my clients. So take this and go and action it because this is exactly what my clients are working on this week. Number one, look at that narrative and ask yourself, whose voice is this? Whose actual voice did this come from? Did this come from my dad? Did this come from my mom? Did this come from an ex partner? Did this come from someone I follow on social media? And I've taken this belief. And now, so when you take on a belief system, and when you put it as fact and you keep repeating it, it becomes part of your programming in your subconscious mind. And when something becomes part of your subconscious programming, consciously, you start to act that out. So if you have been following someone on social media, let's say for the past decade, and you're taking everything they're saying as fact when it comes to money, maybe they say that people who make money are greedy. Maybe they say rich people are evil. And if you've been listening to that and you've taken that on and you keep repeating it, your subconscious programming right now is taking that as fact, and that's how you're living life. So of course, when you go to spend money or when you make more money, the subconscious programming is actually saying to you, hey, people who are rich or people who make money, this is just an example, by the way, but people who make money are evil, or people who make money are greedy. And if you have a value system that says, I don't want to be a greedy person, I don't want to be a bad person, I don't want to be perceived by the people in my life as greedy or bad or evil, of course, you're consciously going to do whatever it is to get rid of that money. Now, something interesting that got brought up that we can probably all relate to in my mastermind last night was when you are making a certain amount of money, and let's say you manifest an extra amount of money, if you don't feel safe to hold this, which is a whole lot of other part, and I do speak about this inside of Match Money, but when you make some money and you don't feel safe and you have these beliefs that are already instilled in you, no matter what you are saying, you may be trying to say, I am rich, I am abundant, I make lots of money. But if that's you consciously. But if subconsciously you do not believe that, and that is opposing to what you have programmed in your mind, then no matter what, you will get rid of that money in some way, shape, or form. So maybe you manifest an extra $500 and then all of a sudden you need to replace your tires and they're $500. Maybe you manifest an extra $1,000 and then you get your tax bill back and it's an extra $1,000. And so you're kind of feeling like no matter how much money I'm making, it's always going, or I always feel like I don't have enough. So, what I really wanted to bring into this live and share with you all and kind of riff on is start to look at the programming behind all of your money beliefs, behind everything you're doing. And so, if you're like, yes, I do want to be rich and I do want to have more money and I do want to attract more abundance, yet nothing in your 3D physical reality is actually showcasing that and is actually proving to you that that's true, then all that tells me is that the way that you are living life, like the lens that you're living life through right now, is reflecting something in your subconscious mind that is not serving you. And something I always say is, if you are living your life and you're like, I want to change my life, I've been trying and it's too hard, or I can't, and that's a limiting belief in itself, or it's really, really difficult, then you need to understand what are the actual subconscious thoughts when it comes to anything. This is life overall. And so the first thing that I want you, and only a small amount of you are going to go away and do this, but what I really want you to go away and do is actually look at what are the narratives I tell myself every single day, like what is on repeat. You may try and be high vibe and say I'm rich or think you're rich, but if every time you think of money you think it's too hard, or every time you show up on your business and you're posting you're like, I'll never get clients, like that is going to out cancel. Especially if you look at a seesaw, right? Seesaws are up and down. If you let's say like this side, try so both all the cameras can see, if this side is the part where you have a lack mindset and you keep piling bricks on, it's going to go like this, right? And so this part is the part that we want to pile on bricks because it's the abundance. Let's say the goal is to hit the floor. Now, if you are like this already and you've piled on all these bricks of lack mindset of saying like, money is for evil people, it's hard to make money, I'm never going to be rich, it's going to pop. Now, if you have one thought throughout the day and it's like, I am rich, maybe we put on half a brick, and then it's like, I feel really good about money, money always comes to me, another and another, maybe it starts to tip, but then a bill comes out and you go, oh my God, another bill, I'm never going to get that money back, or like, I just got money, another brick gets added. So see how you may actually feel like you're trying to tip the scale, if we even seesaw scale, whatever, you're trying to tip the scale. And every time you do, you revert back to your old thinking. I just made up that analogy. I think that's such a great analogy. I might actually make like a TikTok and a reel on that to save that. But that's what I want you to actually think when it comes to money is you right now, and our belief system comes from yesterday. It comes from last month. It comes from 2, 5, 10 years ago. And unless we become consciously aware about what we are actually thinking, we keep repeating the exact same belief. So, of course, you may for a whole day be so high vibe and you're piling the bricks. And then all of a sudden, you have that same thought belief pattern that you had last year and 2 years ago. And so you go like this, and then you start to feel, and you probably can relate to this, you start to feel like, oh my God, I just spent the whole day trying to be high vibe, trying to think positive. I was doing my meditations, but I attracted another bill. Or I got scammed, like my credit card details got taken. Or I need to pay for a new tire. Like I always see when it comes to money problems, like people manifesting a lot of car problems. And so that's what I want you to think about. Like literally use that analogy. Oh my God, thank you, Courtney. I love that analogy too. I feel like I'm definitely going to create a reel out of that. So let that sink in. And this is exactly the type of conversations and work that we're going to be doing inside of Match for Money, because I love the practical stuff. It's going to be a beautiful blend of practicality and energetics, because I don't believe in any area of life that you can just have one or the other. I love to blend both into all of my teachings and all of my trainings. And this is just like one facet of like, how can we reprogram our subconscious mind? How can we reprogram our subconscious mind to benefit us, to create more abundance? And how can we eventually tip the scales so that the most of it, I call it the 80-20 rule, is like we want majority of our thoughts to be in favor. So we want 80% of our thoughts and our thought patterns to be in favor of us. The other 20%, that's called living life. That's called, you had a bad day. That's called having a bad thought. That's normal. Never ever think that it is sustainable to have 100% positive vibes and being happy all the time. It's absolutely exhausting. So I really want you to think, how can I tip the scales in my favor repeatedly? And that comes from reprogramming your subconscious mind with some of the things that I've said to you today. And it takes time. What I will say before we kind of, if anyone has questions too on any of the lives, let me know. But what I will say is it takes a lot of time, and it takes patience, and it takes you being consciously aware of when you're actually paying for something and what comes up. I think a lot of people realize, and they're like, yeah, like I'm aware that I have this negative self-talk, or this is my belief, but it's like, okay, so how are you processing that? What are the things that you're actually doing to make sure that we're changing that if it's not benefiting you, if it's not something that you actually desire to think? And so that is the key, is in that moment, and not leaving it to like the Sunday journaling sesh when it's a Monday and you're having all of these thoughts and you're spiraling. In that moment, start to process, start to understand like where your nervous system doesn't feel safe with what you're saying. And this is the 3 phases. So my framework that I teach all of my clients, that's woven into everything, every container, is the Woman Mastery Framework. So it's Woman Mastery Framework. There's 3 phases. Phase 1 is the subconscious reprogramming. Phase 2 is identity shifting, your self concept. And then phase 3 is your nervous system regulation. So, what I will just say there, because that's the framework that I share with all of my clients, is like you want to look at those. When you look and you do the work in all 3 of those areas, in all 3 of those phases, things shift. And then when you get to the next level, new levels, new devils, but you have the 3 phase, right? This is what I specifically work on in my mastermind. So you get the whole of that. So definitely the one thing I want you to take away is start to think, what is my actual programming when it comes to my money mindset, to my abundance? Like, whose voice is that? Is it my dad's or my mom's, or is it actually my voice? What do I want my voice to be? What am I thinking instead? And how am I tipping the scales? I hope that you have enjoyed this. I am doing this every single Wednesday, talking about a different topic. You can also sign up via the link in my bio in the show notes below for all of my YouTubers. And when you sign up, you'll have the ability to submit any questions that you may have, that you want me to answer, that you want me to speak about. That's a really fun way for me to interact with you guys and to see what the collective thoughts are. But I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much. I